This is the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast, with Erolai, Kreese, and Mark, bringing you all your DFFOO news and talk. Welcome to Season 4, the LDBT era. Now let's start the show.
喝采は僕のものだ。
Hey everybody, it's day 14 of basement quarantine. Do people still smile, laugh? Do children still play outside? If you can all let me know how the outside world is. Does it still sunshine? Do you have sun where you live? That'd be great. I'd like to know. No, this is Mark.
There is no sun anymore.
There's no sun, not where I live. This is Mark, and I welcome you to the stream. Yes, my quarantine ends tomorrow. The test just came back. It was not a good sign. My kids and I, 2 weeks ago, my son was exposed to someone with COVID, so we've been quarantining. We went and got tested last Thursday, and then yesterday I read a article in the New York Post about how the test site that I went to in my state was one that was so overwhelmed with 5 or 6 times the test this week that they had last week. So I was like, oh, that's not good. But they did call me today, and everyone in my family is COVID negative, and our quarantine ends after 14 days tomorrow. And so we will just be normally sheltering at home and not quarantined in the basement. So thank you all for your thoughts. Someone asked how my daughter is doing. She's doing wonderful upstairs in the upstairs part of my house, which I vaguely remember. Where there's windows and not wood, beautiful wood paneling. It's so nice. It's like comfort food on my wall. But this is the Crystal Chronicles. Welcome to episode 128. I am Mark, and I'm so glad you're here so that we can talk not about COVID or our sad feelings, but about DFFOO and our sad feelings. And I am not alone. I am joined by my co-hosts and some special friends. First is Arrow. Arrow, how are you doing?
Doing good. Still on the summon board grind for the week, but it is going smooth, and I'm excited for this weekend. I've got some really cool plans set up.
Nice. I'm glad to hear that. Kreese, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I don't know. I think I mentioned it to you and Mark, or you and Arrow. I had a little COVID scare myself, but I got tested this week. I am negative, so I am good to go as well. So I am feeling pretty good.
We also have Mino here. I don't know if Mino's still on mic. If he wants to say hi, we're going to share his screen here while he pulls for GAU. Mino, do you want to say hi?
No.
Okay. And we're also joined by our good friend and special guest, Necklord, across the pond. How are you doing, Necklord?
Good. And, the curse of lockdown is itself a basking in freedom of time zones. I don't have to get up for anything, so
nice.
I'm here at the spanking early hour of 2 a.m.
And if you look real hard, if you scroll in or sit real close to your TV or phone, I don't know what you watch this on, your computer probably, you nerds, but you can see Necklord's beautiful visage in his PFP. I don't know if he realizes that, but now you're being exposed to quite a few people. So, and on the internet. So there you go. Well. Welcome to the show. This is episode 128, recorded November 19, 2020. Couple news items. Now, we did get a new event launching right as we speak, but we'll get to that here in a minute. We have a late November Chocobo panel, and so you check that out. Make sure you get all of the ticks for that. You can go to DissidiaFFOO.com, our friend Macnol's website, to find out where all those baddies are. I think you got to hang out with Kuja for at least 40 missions, and then there's a couple other losers that you got to bring through.
Papalimo as well.
Papalimo, and there was one other. Is it Rydia?
Selfie as well.
Selfie. So Papalimo, Selfie, like 15, 20, and then Kuja for 40. So just make sure you get all that. The monsters are pretty easy. You can just go do it in a few runs. Find that at the Chocobo guide on DissidiaFFOO, or just wait for the lost chapter in the event, and you'll get it there without any problem. If you missed Kuja's fancy party costume, you can get that. And if you missed Garnet's put on a cloak costume, you can get that. So they're not the best costumes, but I own them both. So I don't know what that says about me. Now
I have both of them too. I don't use Kuja's costume.
I don't either. I think I did use it just because, like, I got it. I'm going to use it. Show off these co-op noobs what my money looks like. Just flash it around. Necklord, what's your take on costumes on skins here? Are you pro costume? No costume? Just a couple here and there?
I'm pro costume only if it's FF6.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Nah.
So you have Terra. You have
of course, yeah.
Celeste, Locke. Who else has a costume?
No. Locke's twig arms. Unacceptable. But no,
Yeah,
Green
Kefka's
Terra,
costume,
best
then.
Terra.
Yeah, Green Terra is the best Terra.
Lettuce Kefka, best Kefka, of course.
Lettuce.
Those
That's a beautiful
those
costume.
lettuce sleeves.
Yeah, I love that costume.
Very nutritious.
Very good. Well, last week we introduced you to the Lufenia TCC challenge for the Ice Reaper, and we banned a whole bunch of people. And a couple people actually got this. So, Chef Knife, Final Asim, Mammoth Salty Gaption, Black Unicorn, Clay, Yoshi Pasta, who I saw here, Liz Lizette, Weird, C-Sam, who I saw here, Scott Ong, who helps a lot with Dissidia Info, Machi Leno, our good friend and fellow streamer, Infamous Element, MZ Pro, always does good videos, and Excalibur. There you go. I read all your names, so feel blessed. You can see it all there. Arrow, did you want to shout out one of these folks, even though I just read all their names?
I sure do. This week, we're going to shout out Liz Lizette, who has done many, many DFFOO videos for a long time. They actually have a really cool saga of showing off Locke in Lufenia. So if you are interested in seeing Locke in Lufenia, working with his other two team members, you guys need to check out Liz Lizette. Anyway, I'm going to post a link, and there's one other video I will be shouting out for Liz Lizette later tonight when we get to the Kuja stuff. So I'm going to send in that link now, and we're going to go on.
Sipes apparently forgot to submit their TCC challenge, so Sipes, we'll just add you to the list, buddy. No harm, no foul. We know you do it. You do good work. There was no extreme for this, right, Crease? There was just regular, right?
I thought there was an extreme. Maybe I forgot about it. I've been so busy lately. I have not been involved in this.
I did not
lately.
think there was an extreme. I'm not even on it now. I just thought there was a regular. Right, there was no extreme. Thank you, Sipes.
There was no extreme. Okay.
So, so just a regular one. We're still in the preliminary phases of Ultimate Bahamut. So I don't know about that. We'll see. But congratulations to all of you who think Lufenia is easy, so you want to make it harder. But it is helpful. Let me say this. The TCC challenge can be really helpful to understand, hey, there are more ways than just Synergy Stomp to complete these missions. And so I think it's going to be interesting if we can get our heads around Bahamut to see, what are some other options. And there's already some creative runs in the Call to Arms, but quite a few less Bahamut runs than Kurosame runs. So, yep, Scythe, thank you. But yeah, like I said, we'll shout you out. Good job. All right. Well, I'm going to switch to screen sharing. So if you're watching at home, if you're watching or you're listening on the podcast, it won't mean anything to you, so don't worry about it. None of the screens do because you're listening to a podcast. We'll be talking, so don't worry about it. But if you are watching on YouTube or Twitch right now, you should see both my screen on top and Mino's screen, and we will start our arduous ticket polls while we get to other content. And the first thing we're going to talk about before we talk about GAU is Ultimate Bahamut. So, Kreese, do you want to talk us what the man of the cycle, Kuja, what he got in his rework, his LD, and his BT, please?
Sure.
Ryan, thank you for the subscription with Twitch Prime. And of course, check out Ryan is the Bomb 203 on YouTube. He does all our music, including that cool Kuja track that you listened to at the beginning of the show. I hope I included that one correctly.
So while Kuja did indeed get a rework, it was a pretty minor rework, all things considered. What changed is that now Ring Holy triggers two things. It now does 50% HP splash damage to non-primary targets, and it applies a new unique debuff to all targets called Melodies of Life. What Melodies of Life does is it applies Holy Resist down and a speed down to all targets. This means that Kuja now applies a Holy Enchant down debuff to all targets, which means that in conjunction with his LD, which I'll talk about in a second, he now is a Holy Enchanter Imperiler, which changes his role in combat sizably. The reason I say that is because his LD now gives him a party enchant, Holy Enchant aura, and also increases his auras a little bit, so he now increases party attack and max brave more. So his LD is Seraphic Star. It is a very strong AoE brave plus HP attack. It's just a very strong attack. The other thing it does is it gives him a unique passive called Terra's Crystal, which, as I said, gives party Holy Enchant and also gives party attack and max brave aura for its duration. This, as I said, turns him into a party Holy Enchanter. Also gives him some pretty nice party auras when coupled with his Darkness of Eternity aura that he gets from Symphonic Force. Altogether, he's now applying a sizable attack aura combined with a smaller max brave and speed aura to the party. It also gives him better brave plus plus and HP plus plus variants while he has Terra's Crystal active, so keep that in mind. You'll typically want to start with Seraphic Star to get him up to speed because you want to get that party enchant, party aura going. You also want to make sure he's working at full power with his Brave plus plus and HP plus plus variants. And it's a nice attack to open with. His burst ability is Flare Star, where he goes into his transform for the attack. It's a nice attack. It's AoE Brave plus AoE HP damage. The burst effect applied to the party is that it gives the party a Holy Enchant, increases party overflow, stolen overflow damage. It increases brave damage dealt, and it also increases the brave damage limit pretty largely. So basically, while Kuja's burst is active for the 5 turns it's a damage amplifier and Holy Enchant, which coupled with his Terra's Crystal Holy Enchant just increases damage for the whole party pretty sizably. I think this is the first huge damage amplification for the whole party that we've seen quite to this degree. It's pretty strong. It is only 5 turns. Kuja is really fast, so keep that in mind. So just be careful with it. It will burn through fast, especially if you're using Ultima, because Ultima does have the high turn rate. And that's what Kuja got. It makes him a less selfish damage dealer because, again, he's bringing the auras now. He does have the party enchant imperil slot. His imperil is a frame debuff, so he doesn't have to worry about that falling off quite so easily, but it can still be pushed off or dispelled or all those fun things. He takes up on himself 4 buff slots. 2 of them are generics, but it is something that is to be considered. And he's now completely dependent upon not running into any enemies that resist or are immune or absorb holy, so keep that in mind. But otherwise, he's a very strong support / damage character. He'll fill a pretty good niche as long as you need someone to fill that damage slot that also amplifies the rest of your party's damage. I think that's a pretty good place to leave it there. Do you want me to pass it to Necklord first, Arrow, or do you want to talk about Kuja next?
I really have not that much to say, so I'm going to pass to Necklord first.
I mean, there's not much else to add. He's just kind of disgusting compared to everyone else right now. The whole double Kuja meme, it's been pretty hilarious. It hasn't even got old yet when I've been boarding. Just throw that Seraphic Star out. The boss dies, doesn't even get a turn. Love it. What's not to like?
Looks like we lost Mino.
I think we did, yeah. I mean, that pure luck sack energy has probably toppled his stream.
Right. Yeah, I love Kuja. Kuja is super great. You know, one of the, even if I don't ever use Kuja in any like ongoing content, right? Kuja is going to pay for himself, and I spent a bit of, I spent a bit of resources on him. What did I end up spending? Let me look here. 30,000. No, that wasn't too bad, right? But totally worth it. Just for the summon board grind. So yeah, I mean, no regrets there. I would have happily spent 75,000 gems just to make summon board grinding. That, I mean, it took. I wasn't even paying attention. I did the entire. I did the entire Bahamut mastery and fully maxed my wild points, I think, in like 3 hours, maybe less. Wasn't even paying attention. Basically, it went so fast. I'm like, oh yeah, it's not like I got treasures for everyone. I did 3 runs for everybody. Like I didn't even do it the most efficient way. The best way to do it would have been 2 runs and use wild points, 2 runs, new wild point. No, I just like screw it. I'm not gonna do that. So yeah, I did 3 runs the entire time, and yeah, it was freaking. You're back, Mino. It was freaking amazing. So very, very happy to have Kuja. And as a holy enchanter, he does his work. Paladin Cecil's, we're gonna have a couple holy chanting in options, which is great. But he does his work. He gets some nice party utility in there. And I've always liked him. I liked him when he got 35. I liked him when he got his EX. I liked him when he got his EX realization. He's high on my list of villains that I really like. I love Final Fantasy IX. So it was an all-around good deal for me. But, moving forward, do I know, like, am I going to use him in a lot of, like, big content? I probably not. I don't know. Because I pull on every single banner and I get all the characters and... you don't need to use old characters. No, I'll use them for at least 2 weeks and throw them on something. Did I use them on Dimensions End? I don't even remember. I don't think so. But yeah, I feel good about Kuja, literally just for summon board farming and nothing else. But I've got a crazy ton of gems, and so if you don't, and you have some extra time, you can spend into. Yeah, Mino was saying, he was hyped for farming Leon. I think that's 100% true, and in my opinion, that was worth my gems to make some. I hate some import grinding and made it a lot easier.
And there's something you touched on there, because it's not just about the fact it's faster; it's the fact you don't have to pay a sliver of attention to boarding anymore. And that was the annoying part. Is a lot of the time, like back when it was Ifrit or Rama, you would have to be careful not to give Rama a turn, for example, and shit like that, because it would just kill your efficiency. And now it's just, you just mash the button and they die, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to decide for you, what makes a character worth it. Does every character you pull gonna last 6 months? No, I mean, there's nobody like that except for the oddball Areneas or something like that. But you probably didn't even use Beatrix for 6 months. You didn't use Arenea for 6 months. You're not gonna well, you might use Gladio for 6 months, depending on your play style. But what's the investment that you're willing? What's the return you're looking for in the character? And for me, Kuja's already paid dividends, right? So I'm more than happy to enjoy what I did here. Okay.
I kind of agree. I guess my thoughts are that Kuja was a favorite of mine. FF9 is one of my favorite Final Fantasies, and Mino is making a good point in chat that he was hyped largely for the farming alone of summon boards. I'll see how he works once synergy goes away, especially because there are a lot of hype characters coming in the future. And once he has the synergy bias no longer rolling in his favor, he will fall off. Synergy bias is strong right now, But he is a very strong synergy, 2-week synergy character with just LD. I will say that.
So Mino is saying all of you laugh when people said pull Una for auto battle. I literally have Una for auto battle. I used Una for auto battle for like a year and a half.
Yeah, she served me well as well.
Now Loki,
use her for auto battle.
Loki is asking, Loki Jr. 01 is asking, if I can only chase one burst, so let me stop you there. Don't chase bursts. But if you are going to make the mistake of chasing a burst, should I chase Kuja or Lightning? I think if you're looking for your investment, Kuja's LD does the job for what we just talked about, which is summon board farming and synergy for this 2 weeks very, very well. Yes, his burst would be nice to have, but you're hopefully probably going to pull on Gladio, right? You might have another chance for it. Lightning really makes it. I mean, Lightning's stupid good. So, she's ridiculous. So I definitely would, if I was, let me put it like this, because I would never suggest you spend 125,000 gems to pity a burst.
Nope.
But, if you were looking, because this is what I'm doing, if you're looking to spend your burst tokens, I don't think Lightning would be a bad idea in terms of a burst that you're going to actually get your investment out of. Now, I'm looking at Kuja because I like Kuja and I think it's cool that he goes into trance. We didn't, I think that's a really cool thing. He goes into his trance. It looks cool. I like Cloud's Burst. Now, Cloud's Burst does become a little bit more useful down the line. I think it just looks really cool. That's terrible reason to, that's not a good reason to pull for something, but as the game goes, but that's why we pull on things. We pull on our favorites. We pull because something looks cool, right? That's fine. That's how we play the game. But if you're looking at the best use of your resources, Lightning, out of the early burst, Lightning is going to do some ridiculous stuff. Very ridiculous things. So, that was my chapter answer.
I guess, is it my turn, to finally share some Kuja thoughts? I think, okay, he has a really nice niche for a long time. He is going to be the only true holy party enchanter. I don't care what you guys say. Pestle is not a true holy enchanter for the party. It's temporary. Where Kuja is going to do it the whole battle. There's no getting around that. He doesn't have to do this AA bull crap. No, you just use that darn LD and you got that sucker for 12 turns until you use it till the next time. That's a long time. And, the other nice thing about it is he has that burst effect that also holy enchants. So if you happen to get both those things, there's going to be some cheeky stuff you can later do because you can basically double holy enchant your party. Now, as a friend unit, that can be very handy for some battles, and that might be enough. And sometimes you might want it in your main party. Until Pestle, you're not gonna have a holy enchanter, really. Not many people are gonna go out of their way to use, Pestle and stuff. So I think he has a really nice niche. I like holy as an element in games. It's cool. Drawbacks to Kuja though, his attack's kind of low. I don't know if the LD really fixed it. It probably did. I feel like it did when I use it in friends and stuff in the grind. So I'm going to go with yes. And the other thing is, he's already gotten LD boards also in Japan, and he becomes better with them, obviously. So I think this is a really good niche. He's got one now instead of just being like an AoE magic damage dealer with a bit of splash of holy. Now it feels like a more cohesive kit with this LD because now, he's all holy. And I feel like that works better for him because we haven't had an all holy attacker in a little while. I think Yuri was the last one, the true
Paladin Cecil rework, I think, was past.
Was it after? Oh, was it? Okay, so that would be the last time. And that's crazy to me to think about. That's a long time now. So I am thankful that he came out when he has. And I will admit to rage pulling. So I did. I wanted Papalimo also, just to add to my collection. I did a first pull, and obviously FF9 loves me, so it gave me the burst. And then I had to do 6 more pulls to get the LD. So I'm sitting on it, and I guess my FF9 collection is once more complete. Good character. But I don't know how much I will use them, honestly. It's FF9. I collect FF9 and FF2. What can I say?
So we were talking about Lightning off topic, which is fine. And Mistleton asked, should you pity Lightning BT on the third BT banner? The 3 BT banner. So there's going to be a banner right now. There is a beginner's banner, something start, right? What is it called? What's the banner called? Anyway, it's a 3EX banner. If you're a new player, you get a 3EX banner. It has Cloud, Lightning, Squall. We're going to get that banner back. Start Dash. Thank you, HaateXIII Project. The Start Dash banner comes back as a 3 LDBT banner with Cloud, Sephiroth, or Cloud, Squall, and Lightning. So the question is, do I just, and I've heard this a couple times, like, I don't have any of these. Do I wait to pull heavy on this banner, the 3 LDBT banner? I mean, I guess if you don't have any of them, it's not a bad banner to pull on, but they all are a little bit, I think Squall gets his boards at that time. So Squall's pretty good, but yeah, Lightning, you're not going to get the most optimal use out of Cloud and Lightning, although, Cloud gets some use on Transcendence too. So it's not a terrible banner to pull on if you don't have any of them. But if you want to use the character, obviously they're going to be better to use them when they come out. But if you don't have Cloud or Lightning and you're not pulling on any of those banners by the time that banner comes out, because I'm going to be honest, Lightning's cycle kind of blows. Compared to a lot of the other cycles we've had. Lightning is Lightning LD, Cam LD, Reno LD. They're not terrible at all. But definitely Camlinot. He's so good. I'm sorry, he's so good. Camlinot is so good. He's awesome. You should definitely pity. Should you pull? Yes. Everybody pull on Camlinot. You can come on that episode, and talk about Camlinot. But so Kuja is Kuja. Let's look at, so this is a summon board, which if you're not familiar, there is, and some people still aren't. And if you're a new listener, welcome. And if you're new to the game, great. We love to have you. There's constantly new people playing the game, and that's awesome. So every time we get a summon board like this, and this is the last of the ultimate summon boards, there's 10 of them. So this is the end of the summon boards. We're going to move to divine boards next, but it's going to be a while. So every time we get a new summon board, there's something called Special Boosted, which is the glowy characters, the pink glowy, and they give special bonuses or kind of double experience for anybody you bring with them. So they treat everybody like they have the double experience up, which means it's a faster grind, easier time. So Kuja, Papalamo, Lulu, Porum, Rydia, Garnet, the characters on the banners, get that. So if you want to make the most of your summon board grind, you definitely want to have a special boosted character. Obviously, Kuja is definitely the MVP. But let's look at the podcast polls. If I can shoot them up here. Thank you to Quetz of Materiabot for the podcast polls. So on the Garnet, there were two banners. On the Garnet Kuja Lulu banner, we had 13 people over 12 servers willing to pity Kuja BT. Wow. 26 willing to pity his LD, 18 willing to gem, 86 tickets, 96 skip. Wow. And on the other banner, which was Rydia, Porum, and Papalamo, it was 7 willing to pity the BT, and this is across 12 servers. 63 LD, 21 gems, 105 tickets, and 74 skip. So there were 20 people going to pity the LD, or the BT. Wow. And almost 100 the LD. So wow, that's a don't pity.
Did we talk about summon board passive priorities yet?
No, that is next on the agenda, on the outline.
Okay.
So I was trying to do it as the order it was written. So
Gotcha.
we didn't get confused because I messed that up last week. So Kreese, if you want to talk about priority because this Ultimate Bahamut is a little bit different, just like Odin with the summon board passive. So Kreese, if you want to go over summon board passives, that would be excellent.
Yeah, so this one's a little tricky, because there's no cookie cutter answer basically. Kind of like with Odin, Bahamut is more of a specialized set of passives. So Bahamut gives magic power up passive, along with some more generic passives, along with a bonus that boosts damage during chain attacks. Um, so there's no specific one that's perfect for every character. In general, every character is probably going to take Bahamut Life Up, which increases max HP, and Bahamut Boost Up, which raises max Brave while your HP is above 80%. Um, but what you take beyond that is probably going to vary. If your character does magic damage, they're probably going to want to take Magic Power Up because that's going to increase all Magic Brave damage dealt. And if they're and otherwise it's kind of a toss up. Physical attackers might want to take Bahamut Chase HP damage up, which will increase HP damage dealt during chain attacks, or they might want to take Bahamut Boost Guard up, which will increase max Brave and defense. It's not a huge max Brave bonus, it's mostly defense, and defense doesn't scale well, so again, it's not that special. So it's kind of a toss up between those two.
Yeah, I would
It's
say
really you're
definitely.
up to your discretion on what you think you want, what you might get more benefit out of. If you think you're going to be running launch teams, you might want to go for Bahamut Chase HP damage up more.
Yeah, I mean, definitely prioritize the HP bonus, and definitely prioritize Magic Brave up if you're using a magic power up. If you're using magic attackers, again, you can always go to TonberryTroupe.com. They have a beautiful infographic, and you can also go to their website and check it out. But yes, if you're, just to primarily focus on those two, in those situations, and then like Kreese said. And there's some interesting ones like Vivi, those characters that really are going to be under 80% health all the time. That kind of throws a kink in the machine in terms of passive. So, yeah.
But that's pretty much it. It's kind of a toss up on what you want for physical attackers. For mages, it's a lot more straightforward.
Arrow, do you spend a lot of time thinking about your summon board passives?
Not too much. I've mostly been getting for the non-magic attackers, the little magic resist up one. I don't really play a lot of launch characters. If they happen to be a launch character, yeah, I grabbed it instead. But otherwise, yeah, I just grab the magic up one, the life up one, and the, what is it? Is it Embrave, I guess? Yeah, that one. I grabbed that. But I don't know. Some of these characters are masochists. So I'm going to have to think a little harder when I get to them. But thankfully, I'm not there yet. So I'm okay with just keeping it to the grind right now.
Necklord, you seem like a smart guy. How do you approach summon board passives?
It's so ironic because, much to my shame, I was quite late to the party with realizing that Bahamut Boost Up doesn't actually boost your Brave damage by 10%, but your max Brave.
Yes.
Because they made the text wrong.
Yes.
Which is, yeah, I got burned by that pretty hard. I was like, what? Brave damage for free?
Yeah, that would have been a super good passive. It is not. So I think we should get a lot of free gems for that. We did not, but
and I had to go and course correct one or two characters in terms of their passives. It cost me the wild points and my pride.
Yeah. Well, wild points.
Should have read the infographic, shouldn't I? It's my fault.
Wild points can be restored. Your pride, unfortunately, a little harder to build up. Kuja cannot help with that, but he has a lot of it. You gotta have some pretty good self-esteem to wear his preferred clothing, either one or his costume. I mean, you gotta have a lot of good self-esteem to pull that kind of costume off. Well, let's talk about the grind, because every time we talk about summon, this is our 10th summon board. And every time we talk about summon boards, we talk about, the summon board grind. Now, we've already mentioned it a little bit, but Kreese, do you want to start how your summon board grind? You said you've been busy. How's your summon board grind gone?
I don't know how far along I am. I guess I've done maybe a dozen, 2 dozen treasure only characters and maybe a dozen masteries, maybe. I don't really have a good number because I haven't been tracking exactly how far along I am. It's been doing it here and there when I have time, like 15 minutes at a time here and there. So, as I said, it's been a busy week. We're going into final season, so I've been distracted.
Arrow, how's your summon board grind going?
I'm about halfway done. I've been doing a book or two in the mornings, and then that's about it. My interest in grinding is very minimal, but I have a lot of characters to do this with, and 2 weeks, I don't feel a rush. I may go back and do some of the summon boards for characters I think I'm going to build for different things in the near future, because this is a great time to do it. And there's a lot of really good super boosted characters this time around for the Bahamut grind in general.
Necklord, how is your summon board grind going?
Oh, I mean, I boarded the characters I use, and the charm of double Kuja has not worn off yet, but I can feel my laziness creeping up on me. I don't know if I'm going to have the strength to do everyone by the end of the 2 weeks, but I hope I can. I hope I can bring myself to do it.
So I'm locked in my basement, as I've mentioned several times, and trying not to murder my children. So 100 years ago, and a couple of years and some change, right? We had a huge flu epidemic, H1N1 virus, which colloquially was referred to as the Spanish flu, swept through the entire world, global pandemic, 50 million people died. After spending 2 weeks in my basement, I am convinced that maybe about 10 million people died from the actual flu, and then 40 million people died for just killing each other, being locked inside for long periods of time. So, the summon board grind helped, kill a day. So, yeah. So my Bahamut boards are done. I completely mastered them. Everybody's got more than enough. You need about 6,500 points. Everybody, because I did 3 runs, triple XP book, double Kuja. So everybody has like 8,500, just overkill. And I have max wild board points. And I started to go back and I'm like, I had a good groove going. I did, have actual things to do, but like, maybe, yesterday I was like, maybe I'll do, maybe I'll go back and start doing a freet and do some others, try to master all the boards. And I'm like, no, that's boring. So we got 2 weeks, so I may still go back and try to master a few others during the special boosted, but I have not mastered all of my boards. Our friend Josepher, who's a fellow streamer and content creator, he did a 10 or 11 hour stream trying to master all of his boards on stream. He did all of his Bahamut ones. He was not able to do all of his other ones, but So Mino said we did the math, and with double Kuja, so Kuja friend Kuja, then 2 any doesn't matter, any other units, doesn't matter. 15 only units, no units, it doesn't matter. They don't have anything to do with the fight. Double Kuja with 3 times books should take 4 hours. 4 hours and 15 minutes, or 4 hours and 25 minutes, 4.25 hours. I think
this seems like the prelude to summon board any percent runs.
Yes.
Speedrunning community getting in there.
So if we want to encourage the speedrun community, how quickly can you do? I feel like it took less than 4 hours to master Bahamut. And like I said, I don't feel like I did it the most efficient way. And I've got 2 boys running around trying to manage school and everything else. So, I really feel like it was less than that, but yeah, if the math works out, the math is math, right? So a few hours.
I can't wait to see it on the next Games Done Quick. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Games Done Quick, summon board farming. That's going to be a thing. Well, good luck.
Someone's
Hopefully,
going to create an account, just save a Kuja LD character just for that.
And if you don't, if you don't have Kuja, I'm sorry, but any of these other characters, or even Kuja without his LD, plus a friend Kuja is going to get the job done pretty quickly. So it's not like if you don't have Kuja, you're going to be like, oh, it's going to be a 12-hour grind. No, you'll be fine. So, well, let's move from that to a reminder that there is co-op. So there is a co-op. It's separate from your World of Illusion. So you have to go into your event tab, and there is a selfie LD or selfie LD. Whoa, I got an early selfie LD. GL first. No, that was her EX, and I already have it. So I was excited. I hadn't seen anything gold for a while. And I'm still pulling tickets. But yeah, there's a co-op, and there is a Cosmos co-op, and you run it like 5 times and you've gotten the entire shop, and so that's
there are actually
daily rewards.
No, there are things to grind for whatchamacallit.
Oh yeah, there are spheres, and someone asked that,
Yeah.
which spheres are you grinding? They're not the best set of spheres, but there's a couple C spheres, which, C spheres are fairly rare for refined spheres. So I think if I recall, I'm not looking at my screen because I'm pulling tickets. One of those C spheres, if it's Garnet or Porum, one of them's pretty good. So I'm not big on like getting. I know some of you are. I got 10 of every single one. I get a couple of each, and then I'm pretty much done. Necklord, I don't know that we've had you on through sphere grinding. So what's your take on refined spheres?
See, I'm outraged because you've left out Kuja's sphere.
Yeah, Kuja's sphere is super cool.
I'm a brave damage enthusiast when it comes to spheres. They just trump everything in my book for the most part. Obviously, if characters don't have much brave hits, don't use them.
If they don't,
But,
right? Yeah. If they
Kuja
don't
has
have
a lot of
if they don't
hits.
have AOE, right? It's AOE.
Yeah, I've stockpiled a shit ton of Kuja spheres, an embarrassing amount, and they'll pay their dividends, I hope.
And I believe there was some question in our Discord earlier. Join our Discord, tccpodcast.com, for all those links, because if you try to do it from Twitch, it's going to be wrong because I haven't changed it yet. So one of these days I will. But if you're on YouTube or the podcast, I think the link is still valid. So yeah, I think we checked out that skill 1 because there was some question, does Kuja's sphere trigger skill 1 and his LD, are those alternating hits? And so it does. I believe we checked it out. All of Kuja's skills, even the alternating hits, they trigger his sphere. So I think Black Cloud may have helped us out with that, Black Nero on YouTube. So good, yeah. So Necklord says, how many is a lot? If I ask Necklord,
I specify an embarrassing amount.
Embarrassing amount. Huh.
Probably too much.
Yeah, I'm still a little tight with my high crystals, so I'll get 2 and be done with it. Necklord's like,
I had a lot of reds.
I got 50. I should. If I can find a yellow crystal, I think the yellow crystal one's garbage, but if I can find a yellow crystal one, I need to start spending yellow crystals. So,
see, Arden would have been a good opportunity there.
Yeah, that would have. But I didn't have thousands of yellow crystals in my inbox at that point.
Lovely gift from Square Enix there.
As I think we all know, I'm not the spheres that are spheres and me are not the best thing in the world. So hey, we also had, if all of that wasn't exciting enough, and that is pretty exciting. Hey, if other people are watching other people pull, how did anybody pull on GAU besides us?
I pulled on GAU.
Okay, well we'll get to what we did.
I also pulled with some tickets, and I was very lucky. So
I was talking to chat to see if there were other streamers who actually pulled on GAU, because a lot of our friends as a event drops are streaming simultaneously. So I was going to see if anybody else checked out who got what. But we'll talk about GAU here in a minute. But before we do that, we have a Chaos, a Challenge Quest, and a Lufenia to talk about. And boy, all of those, they're just dick. Like, can we just be straight up? Like, this is a garbage fight, and I hate it. He is just relentless. Bahamut is an ass, and he just AoE HP damage. Then he summons his stupid crystals, and if you don't kill those crystals, they explode and you die. And then it's just constant. Like every other action is Mega Flare, spawn the crystals. You better kill the crystals or you're gonna die. And then he just kicks you in the nuts when you're down and you're crying, and you're just like, I want to go home. And he's like just relentless AoE HP attack. Garnet can't keep up with it. She's trying her best. Damn it. And I have some feelings. I did beat all of this content, but I have some feelings about it. Yeah, it's a Arrow. Why don't you talk about it for a while?
The challenge quest.
Yeah. Let's talk challenge quest.
Can we talk about that first? Because a lot of people have been struggling with it, and honestly, it is without Kuja really awful. Like. I sat down earlier today and was like, okay, I'm going to beat it with Garnet, Rydia, and Porum. And I think the only way to do it with a team like that is you have to just keep constantly attacking. You do not hit that brave button. Because I learned that. That's why I keep going over turns. I'm going to try again later because I really want to do it, even though I've already beaten it using the Kuja I pulled in Rage. But it is doable. I think there was a call to arms entry finally with that very team. So yes. I'm going to make it happen.
There is there is. So if you go to the call to arms, mackerel.DissidiaFFOO.com, call to arms, there is one non-Kuja LD run. So there is one challenge quest that did not bring Kuja LD. And they brought, and it's Weird. So Weird's one of our TCC challenge folks anyway. So they're a good player. Garnet, Porum, Rydia, all fully realized. They did it with Shiva in 99 turns. Remember, the challenge quest is 100 turns. So just under the wire, and I'm sure it had to be relentless. Because, now I did Kuja LD. I don't have his burst. If you have Kuja's burst, that extra burst phase, world of difference. The like safest team is probably Kuja LDBT, Porum fully realized, Garnet fully realized. That's probably the safest team, the least likely for you to die too much. You might die a few times though, especially because Porum has some RNG in her kit. So if that works out well for you, that can be really good. But that's probably the safest team to go into it as. That being said, you can pretty much do Kuja, Garnet, and any third, and there's pretty much every other combination of Kuja with two of the other characters. A combination that I would really like to see would be Porum, Lulu, and Papalamo. So if anybody just really wants a heavy shout out next week, Porum, Papalamo, and Lulu. I'd really like to see that team beat it. I don't know what I'd do. Maybe I'd give you a gift card. We'll see. I'd really like to see that team do it. I don't want to do that because I hate Porum, so I'm not going to use her. And I don't even have her. I got her EX, unfortunately, but I have not touched it or done anything with it. So I brought Kuja LD, Garnet, who I love, and Lulu, who I love, and I hated it. I hated every minute of it. I had to press Brave attack so I wasn't broken every third second and then died. And I got it finally. I just it took I don't know what my score with it was. I did it pretty efficiently, considering the number of Brave attacks that I went in. I don't have Kuja's BT. If I did, it would have been much easier. But Garnet fully purple, my Lulu's fully purple. Although there is a clear with Lulu EX only, Kuja LDBT, of course. Porum 3/3, Lulu 0 out of 3. And then there's a Kuja LD, Porum 0 out of 3, and Garnet 3/3. The turn limit is 80 or 100 turns. I'm just trying to see if I can. I did it in 89 with that team. That's on the screen right now. The lowest turn count I see without a BT is maybe 72 with Garnet, Papa, and Kuja LD. So that was Talisman. So good job there. So it's a long battle, regardless. Necklord, have you had a chance? Or no, Kreese, were you going to say something?
I was just agreeing with you. I haven't done the Lufenia myself yet.
Yeah. So Necklord, are you a CQ person? Have you been keeping up with the CQs?
I was fortunate enough to have Porum built and pulled Kuja as well, so it was relatively brainless for me. The Lufenia, even though I tough guyed the living shit out of it, wasn't though. That was some hectic stuff.
Yeah, Brat Prince is saying, I'm tired of people saying how easy it is with full synergy in the BT weapon. There's nothing easy about, I'm talking about the challenge quest right now. There's nothing easy about this challenge quest. There's nothing easy about this Lufenia. It is difficult. If you have the BT, it's going to make life easier. If you have full synergy, well, I mean, technically everybody's synergy on this, right? Remember, this is a world of illusion. Everyone is synergy. But yeah, the CQ is just looking at the call to arms. We currently have 14 submissions for the CQ. We're up to 45 submissions. Hold on. 45 submissions of the Lufenia. So this is tough. And so I mean that's just the CQ. We'll talk about Lufenia in here in a second. But any other thoughts on the challenge quests? Kind of suck. They've been a little easier because it's been toned down a little bit. But this is one of the more, I think, restrictive CQs. There's really not, like I just told you what the budget runs were, and those aren't budget runs. One unrealized EX is not really a budget run, is it? Yeah, no. So yeah, I mean, even our friends like Belial, we've talked about Belial. Belial is one of the kings of budget runs,
There's
right?
exactly one run without the Kuja LD.
Yeah, and there's only one run without Kuja LD, so this is exceptionally restrictive. It takes a lot of focus. I had to do it a couple times to just kind of sit and like, oh God, here I go. I have to brave attack. No, I have to time my EXs right. I have to make sure that I have enough healing. I hate Lulu. She's got such a garbage kit, and I hate her. So I hate these stupid crystals, and I hate Neo Bahamut. And yeah, so speaking of things I hate, the Lufenia also sucked. So, if you haven't done the Lufenia yet, you've been like, oh, I'll just do the Chaos, and because that was super easy. And I died on that the first time I did that. And the CQ is like, oh man, this is hard. Yeah, the Lufenia is also not easy, although you do have a few more options, which is nice. So I should have used Porum, but I hate Porum, so I didn't. So I just sucked it up and used Lulu. And got the job done. So thank you, Lulu, for your work. Put it in the time. So the Lufenia, and I don't think Macnell has the boss guide up yet, but the Lufenia has an orb that's a pain in the butt. You don't want the orb to trigger, because if the orb triggers, you're pretty much dead. It wipes all of your things clean, all of your buffs, and then it kills you. So you don't want the orb to trigger. The orb ticks down every time it takes an action, every time you take an action, unless you use a holy attack, and then it kind of adds one to the ticker. So every holy attack adds one, every time you act goes down one. So if you use a holy attack, it just stays the same. So if you're like, well, why isn't the orb going up? Because you did an action and did a holy attack, so it just stays the same. It starts at 20. And then disappears depending on how low it goes. But so instead of having to just deal with the crystal, with the horrible mega flare and all the HP damage, and the crystals, and having to kill the crystals, because if you don't kill them, they explode and you die. Now you have to deal with the Lufenia orb. Oh, and also I forgot it does HP poison for 2 turns every once in a while because it hates you. So it's it's a pain in the butt. There's a couple ways to deal with it. Obviously, Kuja is a holy enchanter. He enchants the party holy. That really helps. Paladin Cecil can holy enchant. That can help the party. There are some Paladin Cecil, no Kuja runs. That can really help. You can just be full double Noctis crazy. Our friend Vane Novus, check out Vane Novus, part of the Tonberry Troupe. He did it in 1 turn. So you can double Noctis the hell out of this. Just like every other freaking thing that you can double Noctis. Noctis is still getting his money, still doing fine work, right?
Was the one-turn Kuja?
Yeah, so Vayne Novus, it's Kuja LD. He did not have the BT, but it didn't matter because he was using Noctis. Noctis LDBT Kurasame. And if you're not doing double Noctis method, double Noctis Kuja enchants holy, double Noctis, ridiculous amount of damage, Kurasame even more damage. But if you're not doing that method, Kurasame can really kick you in the butt because he's ice damage, and so he doesn't get the enchant, so he can take down that Lufenia timer real quick. Now, there are some other Kuja runs, or other Kurasame runs, but just be careful with that in that situation.
And, of course, we all know those movies where, they're trying to defuse the bomb and they're like, the timer's going down and they're like, red wire, blue wire. But this time, it's not one timer going down. It's like 3 different timers. Like you got the orb, you got the summons that you have to kill in a couple of turns or they're going to wipe you and dispel you. There's just so much bullshit to deal with. So if you thought those guys in the movies had trouble, do this quest. You'll have
and if you think, I'll just do it in one turn like Vayne Novus did, there's a good chance you're not Vayne Novus. I'm just going to throw that out there because he's playing on a different level than most of us are. So, but yeah, I appreciate that analogy, as does our chat. So obviously the Holy Enchant is one option. The double Noctis is another option. HP Silence is another option. So Arciella, Kefka, LDBT especially, really good options with there. There is a third option, and there's some interesting ones. I used Arden. Arden obviously is a great option here. There's an Edge Arden Ragin run, and that was Bartleby. So Ragin got paralyzed. Edge can give everybody evasion for the team. Cool, right? So there are some creative runs in this. The other thing you can do is cheese it with Jack, which I think is hilarious because who the hell pulled for Jack? Nobody. But if you did, you can use him pretty effectively here because as long as the crystals are alive, Bahamut cannot be broken. Well, he cannot be delayed because of breaks. And every turn, he and the crystals regenerate Brave. And so every time Jack attacks and breaks him, Jack moves in front of him. So you get in this loop of Jack. So Jack is constantly attacking. And so you put Jack with somebody like Kurasame, somebody else, and Jack is just dishing out damage. Now you can run out of turns doing that or run out of skills, but I've watched it. It's hilarious. It's probably not the intended use of that. You do have to be careful. It's not like a push button win. You have to know what you're doing, but that is out there. Harriet, there was a couple other people. Emperor Laventine. Emperor is really good for this. If you can enchant Emperor, really good. Warrior of Light is really good for this. I'm going to say, I think our friend Macnell said it best, and then I'll shut up and stop talking. I did it with Kuja, Arden, and who did I do it with? Let me see.
You probably needed a healer, right?
Yeah, Warrior of Light. So I did it with Kuja, Arden, Warrior of Light, Odin. That was my team with a Kuja friend unit as well. So just to give you a sense of who I used. But as our friend Macnell said, we were talking about it earlier, if you're really struggling with this, because this is tough, this is permanent content. Yeah, you might lose a few tickets, but the Lufenia armor is permanent. The content is permanent. We're going to get other characters. Down the line, I saw a Paladin Cecil Golbez duel of this. So, there are other options. Mino is saying if you're having trouble, the Jack strategy is probably the easiest. Then HP Silence, probably the second easiest. Kuja is probably the third, easiest, but it's difficult all the way. Obviously, the more help you have with synergy characters like Kuja, if you have his BT, it's going to be a lot easier. So I'm done talking. Arrow, what are your thoughts on this?
I don't like that. It's like this where it's like you either cheese it or you pull synergy. I just don't like fights like this. I think they're poorly designed personally. Now, if I were to ignore the orb, I honestly don't think this fight is that bad. It's having to deal with the orb, and the fact that there's not a lot of good answers to that orb right now is very annoying. But I'm going to give first, before I continue, I am going to give my shout out to Liz Lizette again, because I did want to mention this run. They used Strago, Realm, and their third, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember now. It was a healer. And the fact of the matter is they did it with Edge as their friend unit. So there was no
damn.
Yeah,
it's Realm, Charlotta, Realm,
Specific.
Charlotta, Strago, Edge, friend. Wow.
Yes. Good props
Good
to
turn.
you for that, because that was beautiful. I watched that and I was just like, man, that was cathartic to watch. So thank you. So there is a way to just do enough damage and have just a little bit of holy damage to cover you for a little bit of extra time. And, of course, using Alexander Summon, because Realm's going to require that. You buy yourself enough time to deal with it. And once, you summon that Edge friend and you eat that orb attack, you don't have to worry about that orb anymore. And that last time it summons up that orb. So that was really nice to watch. I was like, man, if I had Edge, I would have totally tried to do an Edge video. But because I didn't, and because I rage pulled for Kuja, I used him, and then I used Kimari and Machina. I don't know why I brought Machina, because I didn't realize when he uses the Bahamut uses the red charge skill, and it removes all buffs or debuffs from itself, including framed ones. So this made it kind of tricky. But I did manage to make it work. And Kimari, I think, might be a little underrated for this one, because Nova does work against the red charge attack. So just something to keep in mind. And of course, Nova, if you have it saved for after the crystals are summoned, you're doing a nice big chunky AoE attack. So, and then you're avoiding the first attacks from the crystals, or you can maybe, I don't know if you can use it against self-destruct. I didn't ever have it charged for that, but I have a feeling you probably could. So Kimari, a very, very good unit potentially for this fight, depending on your other unit choices. I like I said, I don't like fights of this style. I think it's a little dumb. I don't have a problem with elemental damage Lufenias. It's just that when you don't really benefit, you just leave the counter the same. It was like, that's not cool, guys. So clearly they were trying to sell something, and I don't know. But hey, it's permanent content, so I can't get too mad. But on the other hand, it'll be a while before we see another high tier unit. Oh, but you know what? Lightning's coming next month, and you could have that Kuja friend out and just let her go ham for turns on end. So there's something there.
I think Lightning might be able to solo it. We were looking at videos yesterday, so it was like, I wonder if I think Black Cloud was like, I wonder if Lightning can solo it. Oh yeah, of course she can. Yeah, wow. So it goes. I will say one thing about Liz Lizette before I shoot it over to Necklord. Best thumbnails. Just a thumbnail game. If you check out Liz Lizette on YouTube, great thumbnails. Really appreciate the thumbnail work there. So, yeah, good job. That's like a fake award. That doesn't mean anything, but just great, like high quality. Black Cloud's agreeing with me. High quality thumbnails. Really well thought out thumbnails. So, Necklord, I know you love Lufenia and Bahamut.
Oh yes.
How did this treat you?
Well, I like to see the Strago rep. I used Strago myself actually, but a lot less respectable of a comp. Full cheese, of course. Double Kuja, Kefka, and Strago.
Oh.
Can't go wrong. Strago's output here is actually fantastic for clearing the summons that the little orb things it brings along. So, yeah, it was fairly comfy for how annoying the quest is. Bit of pressure, but you can just keep clearing them no matter what.
Yeah, I wiped on stream with Strago because I still don't know how to play Strago. So, one of these days I'll remember.
My inner madness is calling for me to try and get Cyan through this.
Yeah, well, you come back to us. I'm going to guarantee, Arrow said Kimari. There's a couple Kimari runs with Kuja, Emperor, and Kimari. So, yeah, there's some rep for Kimari. There's a Laguna run, so Laguna's in there. I see Freya. I see Kane. Did Mino bring Kane? No, Kane Highwind brought Kane. Kane Highwind 27, one of our friends and
Think
fellow
about
streamers. I'm just throwing it out here. I don't see Cyan represented in here. Got
But think about it, he's made for this quest, right?
Yeah,
he can cleanse the poison.
Jeez, I didn't even think about that. That is like wow. That's good luck. So get back.
Hold on. It just dawned on me because the poison will be applied to him, and then it will put him under the 80% HP threshold for cleansing the body.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yep.
Oh dear.
That's tough.
Yeah, never mind.
Well, Kreese, any
poison tick is applied after HP regen too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's brutal. I've just been hit with brutal reality. That's
yeah. It's not poison, right? Sipes is correcting. It's HP, whatever sap or whatever, but it's awful. It's significant damage. Venom, venom. That might be what it's called. Can Yuffie throw it back? That's a good question.
I do not know if Bahamut is immune.
Are they immune to it?
Quickly.
They're immune to it, probably. It's an aura. Well, it gives you a frame debuff.
It is a frame debuff.
Yeah, Hero's saying Yuffie can throw it back. Yeah, it's just not very effective, is what people are saying. What's it called? It's called bullshit. That's what it's called. That's how I felt. Like, the Mega Flare and the crystals and the Lufenia orb. That's bad enough, but then you just gotta throw that stupid poison on there, that HP damage. Jeez.
It's called Dragon Wave. Is the debuff?
Oh, good times. Let's stop talking about this. If you're struggling, it's okay. This is hard. Like, you go on to Discord and people are, this is the easiest. No, you smack them in the face. You say, get the hell out. Check your privilege and come back to me on the next Lufenia you don't pull on, you idiot. And so TCC challenge will be no Kuja, guarantee that. Check your privilege. So but don't feel bad. It's hard. It is hard, but it's permanent. So there might be other options for you moving forward. So don't give up. Figure it out, and don't be like one of these people that goes on like, oh, it was so easy. Okay, maybe it was, and maybe there's a couple. We got some great players. Like, we talk about them. The TCC. They're like just crazy good players. Like, so much better than me, so much better than any of us here. So good. Arrow's really good too. Let me give her a lot of credit because she does a lot of this crazy stuff. But certainly better than me. And none of those people are going around saying this is so easy. No, they're understanding the fight. They're bringing into it. It's always just like the worst part of the community that's got to be like, oh, this is so easy. Or on the other hand, like, oh, you guys, your guys are going to get it when, this Lufenia comes. Let's just play the game. And if you're having trouble with it, fine. If you're not having trouble with it, fine. Help somebody who is. And that's what we try to do. So you can come on our Discord. We'll try to help you through it. If you have it, check out some of the Macnol's Call. That's what Macnol's Call to Arms is all about. Go watch some videos, figure out how the big brain players are playing. What are they doing? Oh, I didn't realize this is what you need to do. Oh, this is how you deal with that. This is how you deal with that. It's worth watching a few times. Learn how to play, learn how to get a little bit better, learn how to use the characters in an effective way. So don't feel bad about that. Not at all. So Kreese, you want to wrap up Bahamut for us and we can move on to GAU.
I haven't done Bahamut Lufenia, so I have nothing really to say.
Good. It sucks. Look forward to it. So
I'll have more to say probably in the next couple days while I'm complaining about trying to complete it.
Yes. No synergy shaming either. You bring the best characters you have and beat the crap out of it, and pull on every banner, and then you win. That's how I do it. But never ever sell your LDs. So you never ever sell your LDs like I have.
Or your Squall BTs.
Or never sell your Squall. No.
Sell your LDs after you master them.
Nope. I haven't sold any of my purples. I haven't sold any of my...
You have 4 Power Stones, Mark. I can see them.
I know. I have 4 Power Stones, so I don't need to sell any of my stuff. I've got a lot of other Power Stones. So GAU, he got a lost chapter. I pulled about 1 billion tickets to get his kit. So can you walk us through what the Wild Child... I did do an SYP, so if you want to check out the SYP, go ahead. But Kreese, we're going to talk about that. So talk us through what GAU got.
Look at your inventory. You have 674 slots out of 800 filled.
Well, I just pulled like 300 tickets. Of course I have 674 slots. I haven't sold anything. Look at all those. Look at all those bronze. Did you see how many bronze? Look at I'm still scrolling. If you're listening, I'm still scrolling 3 stars. Now finally 4 stars. I'm still scrolling. This is now I'm finally on yellow.
I'll talk about GAU while you sell all those.
Thank you.
3 stars and 4 stars.
I'm glad. Sub, give us a sub, because this is you don't get this on other people's streams.
Okay. So GAU got kind of a mini rework with his LD, but not really. He didn't get like the raw rework that you expect. His LD weapon gave him a rework in the loosest sense, kind of like how Squall got a mini rework with his LD without getting a true rework of the sense we think about. His LD it carries a lot of weight with it. Number 1, his LD makes him get a free ability use on quest start, so he can start up without having to burn an ability use. He can just get beast teachings up. He doesn't have to worry about burning an ability. That's a plus. It also gets him up to his beast teachings buff up immediately. Number 2, his LD ability Landslide does a lot for him. Number 1, it gives him a better counter than either his Life Shaver or his Cat Scratch counter abilities. It's basically the best of both worlds. So, counter Landslide, which is based on his LD ability Landslide, is just better than Life Shaver or Cat Scratch. It is an AoE Brave plus AoE HP attack, followed by an AoE Brave attack that batteries the party afterwards, heals the party based on HP damage dealt, or based on brave damage dealt. Sorry, not on HP damage dealt. Gotta make sure I say that correctly. So it does the healing that Life Shaver did while doing the HP damage that Cat Scratch did. So it's basically the best of both worlds. Landslide also applies Earth Resist down, so GAU is no longer locked to waiting for his EX to come up to get that Earth Resist down debuff on the enemy or the enemy opponents, which he was really struggling with before. Number 4, he now party enchants Earth and has a small party aura and a small enemy debuff aura with a new buff called Instinct Awakening with his LD. He gets better Brave Plus and HP Pluses from Landslide as well. And he just gets a nice AoE Brave Plus HP attack when he triggers Landslide, his LD ability. And he has 4 uses of hit Landslide. This basically changes the way GAU works altogether. Instead of choosing to go with Cat Scratch or Life Shaver, depending on which stance you need to be in. Do you need him to be doing damage with his counters or healing with his counters? You just use Landslide now. That's how it works. You do Landslide, and then you just stick with his Brave and HP pluses until his EX comes up. You do his EX, and you're in great work. His Brave plus Landslide is an AoE Brave attack that batteries the party. His HP plus is an AoE Brave single target HP attack that does HP splash damage and batteries the party. There you go. A couple things to keep in mind. When you use Landslide, he can activate Cat Scratch and Life Shaver afterwards, but if he activates Cat Scratch or Life Shaver, he cancels out of his Landslide stance. So be careful about that. You want to use them in a pinch if you need to get the quick healing from Life Saver, or you need to do the quick AoE Brave shaving from Cat Scratch, but otherwise you want to stay in Landslide as long as possible because it's just a better stance. Other than that, I think that's it for GAU. This basically just makes him a much better counter character. He still has the similar issues he had before in that he works best against multiple targets because he is just an AoE attacker. He works best in that situation. He does not work as well once you're down to one target. I believe his character board does give him brave damage amplification now against single targets, but he still works better in an AoE situation. More targets is better for him. So keep that in mind. That's just the way he works. And I think that's it. I like these changes. I think they make him much better. I don't think he's going to be like a super amazing character by any stretch of the imagination. His auras are still pretty modest. They're small. It's a minor attack boost. It's a minor attack and max rate penalty to the enemies. It's nothing amazing per se. It's just small kickers. The Earth Enchant is the biggest thing. It gives him much better utility. The fact that Landslide now heals and he doesn't have to choose between dealing HP damage with his counters and healing with his counters is a much better improvement. It's still tied to dealing damage, but yeah, I think this makes him a much better counter character than he was in the past. So those are my thoughts on him. Arrow, what are your thoughts?
I think GAU is one of those characters where you're either going to like him a lot or you don't care at all. Now, if you're one of those people who likes counter characters, GAU complements certain counter characters extremely well. Characters like, I didn't even mention it. Trap characters as well. So characters like Emperor, GAU's great with him. He's giving him an enchant and he's doing extra follow-ups. Characters that can tank really well, like take a lot of heat off the party, such as Bosch or Snow, etc. Warrior of Light. As long as they're taking hits, they're not dodging, they take the hit, GAU will follow up with the counter of his own. That's extremely nice. And on top of that, again, he is now doing that Earth Enchant. He's our only Earth Enchanter until Guy, and that's months from now. And I don't know about you guys, but I know a lot of you are not FF2 fans. I know it. Don't deny it. So I think if you prefer this guy right here, GAU, over the other guy from FF2, just something to think about. These are your choices for right now. Those are your two Earth Enchanters. And they are very different in how they play. So GAU is, I think, meant to complement other counter-based type characters, and we're going to see that with the soon-to-be-released Gladiolas next. Is it next week or next week?
It is
next week.
So there you go. That to me is the most important thing. Also, we're gonna have this thing called boss rush in the future, where you you try to do as much damage as you can in a certain set amount of turns, essentially. And anyone who does off-turn damage, like GAU or Emperor, etc., are extremely powerful characters for this, because it's just essentially free damage without running down the timer. So just some things to think about, since I always like to think a little bit forward. And one other thing is he will get his LD boards with Onion Knights LD, and he will help greatly. If you have heard about you most likely have heard about this fight. It is known as a Cancer Lufenia. So GAU helps extremely with it. Just something else to keep in mind. So that's where I'm going to leave it. He complements certain kinds of strategies extremely well. And if you think that whatever utilities he's providing, or you just like counter characters, GAU is an excellent addition to your roster.
Necklord, I know you came here really for the Kuja talk, but I
came here for GAU.
Why don't you tell us what you think about GAU?
Well, I think there's one important factor here that was missed, is that his LD counter prevents him. Well, it doesn't prevent him, but it makes him safe from being broken. And this is the main thing. I used GAU quite a lot pre-LD, just with 3.3x plus. And what would happen is he would get hit and broken, and then he would counter with Cat Scratch, and then someone else would target him and break him, and this would continue often, and you would find your runs just almost 30 breaks in a given run.
Yep, I remember that.
As much as you're improving your score by sort of front loading your damage on the enemy's turns rather than your own, the fact you were getting broken a lot balanced it out. But now you're not getting broken as much when you're countering this time. So it will improve tighter turn requirement fights where he's well suited to. So that's something worth considering as well, in addition to boss rush, where, again, because his damage is front-loaded on enemy turns and not your own, it serves him well there. So, but I think there's something else, actually, because I did a bit of research before the show. I went to the pinnacle of intelligence, GL Gen in main chord, and they were telling me, and I just want your guys' thoughts about this, that they pulled 8 and 8 counters, so they don't need GAU. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I think that's you only need Lufenia orbs suck, and so no, they're interesting. So there are several Lufenia orbs that need a counter. For example, GAU has a Lufenia orb. You need to either counter or use earth damage to tick that orb up. I think Gladiolus may have a counter orb that you need. So there's counter orbs pretty consistent. There's also earth orbs, and mostly here in Guy's LC, and then GAU's LC, and then Guy's event, you'll have an earth orb. But saying that I pulled 8, so I don't need GAU is like saying I pulled 8, so I don't need Gladio. They do very different things. And they don't particularly synergize well together. They can do fine, but GAU does not counter if the attack is evaded. So 8 is evading attacks. Warrior of Light isn't. Gladius is not evading attacks. Edge would evade attacks, right? Shadow would evade attacks. So those characters that evade attack and counter, GAU doesn't mesh up with them. But I think that's what do we call that? We call that a hot take. I think that's a hot take.
Yeah, a massive hot take. But come on, think about it, right? Because 8, he's just a dodging, physical, neutral element, single target, non-healing, non-imperil, non-enchant, non-battery GAU. He's basically the same.
8 is pretty much he's pretty much a tank version of GAU. Let's just call it as it is. He's just a VV tank version of GAU. So no, GAU brings a lot to the table. He counters. He does earth enchant, earth imperil. He heals. He does battery. Everything he presses is battery. I mean, the kid's got something going for him. Do I think you should pity him? I don't care what you do with your gems. I just used 300 tickets, and I'm not, maybe a little less than 300 tickets, but almost 300 tickets to get his kit. I didn't have any of his kit. So, hey, that's worth it for me. I would have liked a couple, Kuja BTs, Joshua. I was streaming too. I need that content creator uprate, but but yeah, no. Do you need GAU? No. Somebody was like, well, you don't need GAU. You don't need Gladiolus. Like, you don't need anybody in this game. You can skip content, right? Like, just be like, what's with all the hot takes?
Yeah.
He's useful. We were talking about this on the pre-show. Looking back, there hasn't really been any characters in the LDBT era that we were like, got an LD or a BT that were like, oh, this character sucks. And there's been a couple EX characters that were been like, oh, they're pretty good. But, when you look down the list of LD characters, everybody's been putting in work. Now, there are some that were stronger than others, and moving forward, there are some that are stronger than others, but everybody's going to be putting in work. And GAU's going to be putting in a lot of work for you, and there's just not a lot of Earth Element characters. If you're looking for like, okay, well, who else can I use on Earth Element? Well, Guy, he's one. Does Zonde do Earth or just Dark? He's just Dark.
It's Earth Dark damage. I believe.
So he's
Earth Dark.
Yeah, so he's coming up. But then Realm, she's an option, and her DPS ain't getting any better moving forward. You have Alizé. Yeah, try bringing Alizé here in a couple months. 2 guys, Lufenia. See how that works out for you. Somebody will do it, and God bless them. But there's just not a lot of Earth damage. The twins have Earth damage. Yeah, their time is rough. A TUI project is saying 8 and GAU have both 3/4 length pants. What's up with that? So Necklord, any comments on the short pants? What's with these counter characters in short pants?
I don't know. I don't judge people on their fashion choices, but I mean, GAU is a weird guy. You just got to let him do what he wants.
Well, is there some utility to having shorter pants if you're constantly going to be countering? I mean, does it give you a little bit more, aerodynamic, or I don't know? Did Mino?
I mean, for a character that has claws as a weapon, he does do a lot of kicks, doesn't he?
He does. Yeah, it's just like they're like Tifa. Like, have you ever seen Tifa actually punch something? Why does she have claws? I'm very interested in that. So, yeah, let's not get into a short pants, cargo short conversation. We already did that quite a few post shows ago. So, anyway, let's look at the podcast polls. GAU's great. You should definitely pity him. That's my advice to you. Yeah, no one willing to pity Kuja's BT because they all apparently pitied Kuja's BT on the current one. Only 6 servers even cared about GAU. That tells you something. 9 people willing to pity the LD, including, I believe, Necklord. A few other folks here doing that as well. 4 using gems. So yeah, only 13 people really willing to invest in poor GAU. 83 using tickets and 40 skipping. So I think he will be. He was certainly not hyped. He wasn't underhyped. I will give everybody credit. I don't think anybody, in terms of the content creators, I don't think anybody like undersold him. But certainly nobody was. Yeah. Valerius is saying. Valerius is saying. Shout out here to Kakushu for the 4-month sub. Appreciate that. But yeah, Valerius is saying there's no lag in the game, so people are sleeping on GAU. Oh yeah, that's fair.
It's a good litmus test to see if people are.
There's also, to be fair, with the lag issue, there's no co-op with an LC. So I think when a new co-op drops, the lag is even worse, and then the polling. So. But yeah, with a new LDBT, it always seems a little bit better. So, 40 did a good review. I think Josepher was fair. Lids wasn't able to get one out. I'm not sure if Zeno did one. Of course, Black Cloud shared his black thoughts on GAU, was very positive on GAU. Munchkins may have undersold him a little bit, so I think maybe that was the only person who did it. Go Miss anybody in the SYPs? So
I think
that's my
I have a
credit
solution.
card. If you want to see how much money I owe on my credit card, you can go back and pause. So
I think I have a solution to solve this GAU hype problem. All we need to do is just record him soloing Dimensions End 4.
Yes,
and everyone will consider him a god.
Everybody loves a good solo. So get on that, Necklord, and do it. So right. I pulled 300 tickets. Arrow, you pulled. How'd you do?
I got it in less than about 30 tickets. I went and pulled the EX on one, and then the next ticket, it wound up giving me an LD. I've never had that happen ever in this era. So hey, I'll take it.
I think Mino pulled in like 3 tickets. He pulled on stream, so you can go back and check that if you want to watch. Kreese, how did you do? Kreese, are you with us?
It took me about 300 tickets, I think.
And Neck, how did you do?
I went the gems route. It went to 80 G tokens before it dropped, so fairly fortunate.
Very nice. Oh, so yeah, Riku's saying I think Zeno did one at SYP. I don't think he did one for GAU. Yeah, I don't think he did one for GAU either. But check out TXB Gaming, our good friend Zeno, down in the Australia region. So he's always fun to watch. Very good. Dimensions End. We're going to talk about Lufenia. It's 3 waves. It's that we've already had this fight when GAU's event launched. It's one of the Raptors, then 2 of the Raptors, then 3 of the Raptors. They're going to be annoying. Mino's doing it on stream right now, so you can watch that. But we'll get into that next week. We also got a new Dimensions End with a new colored plate, and everybody was excited about Dimensions End, right? Because it's super hard content these days. It is a multi-wave, multi-boss Dimensions End, if you're excited about that. I don't know if I can bring it up here, but you can at least see my team. Let's talk. You can go to Black Nero on YouTube, does great Dimensions End walkthroughs if you want more information. The Tonberry Troupe does a good walkthrough on that as well. This tier has enemies resistant to range damage, so don't bring your range damage unless you're bringing Enchant in Peril. The enemies prevent you from Brave Gain. So if you're struggling with this, it might be because you're bringing people who rely on Brave Gain, Brave Regen, Brave Refund. So that idea of, a character regenerates Brave, a character attacks and gets Brave back, or a character batteries the party. As I was just saying, Garnet, is a good version of that. GAU does that as well. There are 3 waves, 3 enemies per wave. So don't bring supports who rely on battery. Not going to help. Off-turn damage, AoE damage dealers, very, very good. The turn requirement is 90, so you need to do some considerable damage. The first wave, these are waves we're all familiar with. If you've been playing, if you've gotten to tier 17 of Entropy, these are bosses you're familiar with. You're not all familiar if you haven't. I haven't even touched Entropy. Yeah, if you're gotten to the point where you can do Entropy 17, you're familiar with these bosses. Commander Beast, the Wolf with 2 Worker Beasts. They're annoying, but not too much to say about them. The next one is the Swarm Flies, which inflict a whole bunch of crap, poison, attack down, speed down, turn rate down. All of these bosses revive their adds, revive their additional enemies. So the Commander Beast, and that's with my initial run. I had the Commander Beast down to 1% HP. I did this on stream the other night, and then it respawned the stupid ads, right? So it's a pain in the butt. You can reset the wave or just power through it and you'll be fine probably. The Swarm Fly, those are Renoa's bosses maybe, with 2 of the other flies. And then the final boss is a Lamia Queen with a Lys mannequin and a Lulu mannequin. Lulu, the least threatening of the bunch. She's not doing too much. She can do inflict fire down and fire enchant the party. Lys can be a real pain in the butt because she does an AoE HP attack. The Lamia Queen has her charm, which is really bad, a debuff that paralyzes you for a turn. And she can revive any fallen enemies, so you want to prioritize her. If you can get through the 3rd wave, you can especially if you're bringing a burst character, you can summon burst and kill the 3rd wave without them really having anything to do. But so if you're bringing new characters, it's not going to be tough. Kuja, he does tons of AoE damage. He's really good. Kurasame does HP up. Has limited battery, so you don't get to use that. But his utility is super good. 8 is going to be really good here. His counters, Vivi is really good here. If you build around him, Strago does HP damage. Emperor does HP damage. I believe I use Squall because I didn't use Squall. So I used Squall, Kurasame, and 8. It was hilarious. They died really fairly easy. Arrow, how did you approach this?
I chose to use the Leon strategy because even though, you don't gain any Brave anymore. Pretty much every attack does nothing until the 3rd wave, and only Lulu and the Mannequin Queen or the Lamia Queen herself can hurt you with their attacks because they actually have elemental attacks. So I used Arden. I forgot to use his burst, but it didn't matter. And Rydia, and because I had her, and she's not too dependent on having a lot of Brave battery. It was a little mediocre, but I was basically letting Arden, be the star of the show, and he did his job. So I think these waves, they don't have a lot of HP, but they have a lot of high turn rate skills, between all the enemies and the waves. So if you get broken, or even if you don't, they can just follow up immediately with these crazy HP attacks. So if you don't have any counter characters, I'm going to give a special shout out to Desh and Leon, making this tier much, much more tolerable for that alone. So if you're going with a strategy that doesn't have counter characters, definitely consider them if you have them. If not, I guess 9 will work. It's just that he won't be able to battery you with his LD skill, which is kind of a big loss for him. Other than that, it's not too bad of a tier. It's just making sure you don't have too many follow-up attacks from those high turn rate skills where they just bonk you and one hit kill you. That's about it.
Necklord, have you had time to do Dimensions End 17, and who did you bring?
Oh, of course. And I really fancied a trip down memory lane. I was just thinking to myself, what was Barsh like before he got reworked? I was like, oh yeah, he didn't have battery, did he? So I just threw him in and added Strago and Kuja alongside. And I'll note the caveat, right? One Kuja is a lot worse than two Kujas, and it felt awful in comparison.
It's true. I mean, two Kujas is a lot better than one Kuja. But yeah, better better one Kuja in the hand than two in the bush or something. How's that expression go? Kreese, have you had a chance to do Dimensions End?
I have done this, and I used Bosch as well for this. My team was Bosch, Kurosame, and Machina. I had not used Machina on an earlier tier, so I decided to break him out for this. Coupled with Kurosame's damage amplification, he was doing a lot of damage on each of these waves. And Bosch was keeping the party safe. So yeah, it was pretty smooth sailing for me.
Yeah, I think you have a lot of options. Dimensions End is obviously not the highest tier difficulty, so the new characters are geared towards Lufenia, which is more difficult than Chaos. So this is still Chaos difficulty. That being said, tier 20 especially is a little bit more difficult, but I still think a little bit more palatable than Lufenia for folks. So if you haven't started that, you haven't started your entropy journey, you haven't started Pathos, you're still working on Dimensions End, and you've been playing for a couple months, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do Dimensions End. Yeah, start working on Order, start working on Pathos. You might be surprised how far you can come, and then get into entropy. And if, of course, tccpodcast.com. You can come check out. Hey, Jin Lee and Strafe are talking, two of our friends and content creators who are too busy to create content at the moment. But Jin Lee has done some content recently and came out with a amazing, just humble poll video against our good friend Resfoina, who I can say is our good friend because she's not streaming right now because she's not feeling well. So hope she feels better. But yeah, so check out Jin Lee's 75-hour poll battle between him and Resfoina. Goes through the entire history of their. I mean, it's more like a documentary. Let's just be honest. The poll documentary. Really, really enjoy. I mean, it's good. I watched it twice. I thought it was that good. So I encourage you to go check that out. Much more interesting than my poll videos, which you should also watch several times. Get that YouTube analytics up. So hey, Kreese, we got Necklord here. Mino is trying, I think, Lufenia. I haven't been paying attention.
He's still working on Lufenia.
Yeah,
he's trying new strategies.
So you can watch that. Yeah, is there some host discussion for us today?
Yeah, we're only gonna do a couple questions since we are running a little long today. If that's
Great.
okay with you.
That's wonderful. Let's do a couple questions.
Katsufumi asks, in the early Chaos era, we often talked about needing meta units to get us through that content until we built rosters diverse enough for us to not really care. Now that Lufenia difficulty is here, do the hosts think the same about Lufenia? Does meta even really matter in this era? I guess the question is, do the hosts feel that we're in a similar boat in early Lufenia as we were in with early Chaos, where the roster is really restricted now? I'm guessing that's what Katsufumi means. Arrow, do you want to tackle this question first?
I don't think Lufenia so far has been as restrictive as early Chaos. I hated early Chaos. This transition's been much better. My only thing is, I mean, like, yeah, this Kuja Lufenia is kind of annoying, but on the other hand, at least it's permanent, so I can't really get mad. And like, clearing Lufenia or completing Lufenia is not nearly as important as clearing Chaos was. Like, if you couldn't clear at least clear the Chaoses before, there was no ingots, and you needed those ingots. Like, there's no getting around that. And the high armors, the new armor tier from completing Lufenia, they're not as important to me. So honestly, that's a big difference. So if you wanted to just skip an annoying Lufenia, you really aren't missing too much right now. So I don't know. I guess just pull units how you normally bid. And the main thing with Lufenia is respecting orb mechanics. Like starting next month, you can't just, edge dodge your way out of an orb. It's just going to outright kill you and wipe you, no matter your board state or anything. If that orb goes to 0, it's game over. That's it. So as long as you have characters that can deal with the orb mechanics, they might be able to be carried if they're a little weaker. And if they're decent, they might actually pull their weight pretty decently in a fight. I think there was a couple where you had to do like launches or something that are coming in the future. And people were using characters like Fusion and Zidane to get through them. So, it's really all about respecting the Lufenia orb mechanics. If you have the character that could maybe do it, give it a shot. Otherwise, that's what pulling is for, to help you get through content. That's what using synergy characters is sometimes for, is just to get you through content. For whatever reason, like your roster just can't meet the standard for that battle. And that's not going to hopefully happen to you every time, because, as you're building more characters, that should happen less. But like for me, I just got blindsided by this Kuja, the whole Bahamut, the Lufenia. It just blindsided me. So it was just like, oh, okay, well, in that case, I'll just pull and I know I can get through it. So that's to me how it really works in this game.
Necklord, what are your thoughts?
I think to tackle this question directly, you have to sort of appreciate the jump between Cosmos and Chaos. Because in a lot of cases, the Cosmos quest would be relatively straightforward, high HP, and the mechanics would be kind of normal. And then you'd hit Chaos and there'd be like radical changes. There'd be like extra elemental resistances or like severe type resistances for melee or ranged or something like that. And typically that jump was massive, and there was a very limited group of usable units. Like, let's just rewind a second. We had characters like Cyan with 2-hit brave attacks, just absolute dog shit characters at the time. So there's very few usable people. Fast forward to now, and a lot of the X plus units in the mid to late era are perfectly usable for specific. They do have to be carried to a degree, but they're usable. That's the key component. We have usable characters compared to not having any usable characters in the past. So I think for that reason, it's not similar. And as a double whammy, early Chaos introduced Dimension's End with a very limited roster again. So that as well was another sort of way of making Chaos feel like chaos. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I think Lufenia has been more. Certainly, don't hear us saying Lufenia is easy, but Lufenia has been more. It's been more flexible in terms of who you can bring. I think the Call to Arms just shows that. There's some factual proof to back up that early Lufenia has had a more flexible roster than early Chaos. Some Lufenia, Lost Chapter, Act 2 going into Act 3, so Chapter Lufenia, those are permanent content. So you will be able to, the Ultimate Bahamut, so you'll be able to get that those Lufenia armors permanent player reward, so that's permanent content. Challenge quests are never permanent content, so you'll miss those burst orbs. So that's, that is much more restrictive than, now some Lufenias, like Event, they're going to be in raids. Those are going to be limited, and you'll get 2 weeks to do them and not. But there's a lot more Lufenias because there's no challenge quests that are permanent content. Even the LC challenge quests, they're temporary, 2 weeks. So definitely seems like a lot more. You're missing out on less because you don't have to use Lufenia armor. For several of these characters, you probably don't even want to use Lufenia armor, very truthfully, right? Like, everybody wants Gladio. You don't even want Gladio's Lufenia armor, and there's quite a few other characters like that. So I think the transition to Lufenia was nice because we had some lead up time to it, introducing these new characters. We built up a roster of these new characters before it transitioned, so that was nice. And I think there's a lot more flexibility, so that's very nice as well. That doesn't mean it's easy. That, not saying at all. There's nothing easy about Lufenia. You have to pay attention. You have to do a lot of work. So
I'll echo that early Lufenia has not felt like the nasty spike in difficulty that Chaos did. enough of the roster still feels usable in Chaos, in Lufenia, compared to the whole. You just can't use most of your roster in Chaos now. That's
Yeah.
what happened there. So yeah, it feels much better.
All right. Well, good conversation. You want to hit another one?
Mm-hmm. Gavrilo P asks, now that we know the global anniversary will have a global first LD and not a global first character, does it lessen the excitement for the global anniversary? I guess a little bit for me. I mean, it's always nice to have the anticipation of a global first character, but in the same vein, it now builds anticipation for, well, who's going to get a global first LD that's been missing from the spotlight for a long time for me. And it also narrows the focus on who can potentially get the global first LD, whereas it could have been anyone before. Now we have somewhere we can actually work from. So in some ways, yes, it does reduce the excitement for me, but in the same vein, no, I'm still plenty happy with it. So that answers it for me. Arrow?
It does not lessen it at all. In fact, it makes me really hyped. I can't wait to see who deserves to get the early LD on global. There's a lot of characters I think would be amazing choices for the spotlight, and it really sucks it only gets to be one when you think about it like that. But I'm hoping that they'll kind of do these global first LDs, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, because there are several characters. I think they're barely halfway done, even in JP with LD. So it's just like, wow, there's so many good characters they could pick from a list who would not be even showing up in like lost chapters or anything as potential LDs. So, I'm going to still say it. Justice for Rydia, please make it happen. That's going to be my gambling choice. Mark?
There are 70. Looking ahead at JP, there are 70 options for us at third anniversary. 70 options for LDs. So, yeah. So who knows? I'm not saying why I know that, but I would be looking at your video feed on next Thursday to find out what I think. That's all I'm going to say. Necklord, what do you think?
Well, personally, I can't wait for Cyan's LD in January. I'm looking forward to it. No, but no, I think it's better.
Cyan.
Of course. But no, I think it's better this way. This is like, this issue is like the first time I've had veins popping over this game, right? Because I'll take you back, right? I'll take you back to the C60 days, right? We got to Auron's Lost Chapter. He debuted. Well, he didn't debut. His ex debuted.
Yeah.
He got an awakening. Turned his meager little single target brave attack into an AoE brave attack with a HP conditional. It was fantastic. He got loads treatment. And on the same day, Cyan got his Crystal 60 awakening, which transformed Bushido Fang from a 1-hit brave attack into a 2-hit brave attack. And that was it. There was no HP damage attached to it. He was just left with that. And it just got me thinking, like, why is there not a HP conditional here? Even though JP didn't do it, why don't they just patch him up like that? It's a small thing, just do that. And this is sort of what they're doing here with LD weapons. Like, there's a lot of serviceable X plus units that clearly, as we can tell by JP's timeline, aren't going to get anything. And if they got an LD, say around January, it would give them a new lease of life for a couple of months, which would be fantastic, right? So I think this generates a bit more hype in my books, mainly because I just know deep down it'll be Cyan. I don't really.
Deep down, it will be Cyan. That's for sure.
Quadra Slice, of course.
Obviously.
Yeah. Let's do one more question, Chris.
Yeah, and this one's going to be a bit of a beefier one, or not much of a beefier one, but it's going to be a more factual one. I think we've addressed this before, but it's popped up twice, so we'll tackle it now, especially with Bahamut summon boards being here. NZ Charlie and SS Vegito both asked about the armor token draught that has been foretold to us by our JP playing brethren. That will start after the summon board grind with Bahamut is done. Because, and here's a little bit of information for everyone who might not be aware, this is basically the last time that we get a huge influx of armor tokens. From here on out, we just get the armor token usual amounts that we get for every event or every lost chapter, and that's it, which is about 10 to 20 to 30 maximum armor tokens per event. Which means we no longer get huge flushes of armor tokens ever again. So the question is, are we actually going to have an armor token drought? And more specifically, some of the questions are, how many armor tokens do the co-hosts have? How many do you think is sufficient to be ready for this armor token drought? That sort of stuff. And how do you prepare for it in the future? That sort of thing. I'll go first. I just double checked my armor token supply going into this. I have a little over 1,200 armor tokens right now, and I'm not done with my Bahamut grind at the moment. So early on, and I'll be clear, I did not get all the armor tokens from early co-op grinds. I did not do most co-op grinds early on in the game before they released co-op shops. So when it was just all tied to just score collection rewards, I did not do co-ops at all. So I missed a lot of early armor token options. So I have 1,200 now. Every character that I fully realized weapon for has a fully realized armor. A lot of characters that have partially realized weapons have fully realized armors. So that should give you a rough idea on where my armor stash is. And I still have 1,200 armors sitting in my inventory, which puts me in a good spot where I have a lot of armors. Keep in mind that for every character that you need to fully suck up their armors, you need, what is it? If they are a story character, you need 20 plus 80, so you need 100 armor tokens. And for every event character, you need 70, or you need 90 armor tokens, sorry. Just to get them to a point where you can realize their armors. So yes, if you are using them frivolously, you will run out of armor tokens very quickly. So you should keep that in mind going forward, that you do not just spend them on every character that you possibly can. And that's where I am. Arrow?
Have over 2,000 armor tokens. I do. Purple all armors for all. Purple EX. I don't know. I just never really I don't spend my armor tokens on characters. I used to also be very stingy with them, even back in the day. I would only use them if I really needed the CP. And that actually wound up being a good strategy, apparently, with what's supposedly coming. Miss Tolton in the chat also mentioned that each new character will be bringing an additional 50 armor tokens because of the summon board grind they'll have to do for treasures and everything. So that's another, little extra to keep in mind for every event character.
Sorry, I'm just going to chime in.
Yeah.
New character events are becoming fewer and far between going forward. With Japan, they aren't getting the consistent 2 characters per month that we've had. As you've probably noticed recently, we've had some months where it's one new character per month rather than 2.
And they may accelerate our timeline, but they may not. And so less new characters, which means less new characters to have to buy armor for too. So that's okay with me. Go ahead, Arrow. Finish your thought, please.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just never really thought about it beyond CP needs, but I guess with this, it's going to be the same thing. Do I really need the additional CP on that character? Because sometimes you can get through a challenge quest or something on a pretty budget end character, and that'll hold forward. Maybe not for this one, obviously for Bahamut, but for Mr. Mootley here. But this isn't a constant thing. So that's probably how I'll just treat it. Is do I want to did I purple this character? Yes, no. I mean, and it also helps when characters get LDs and you already have their armors purpled and everything. You don't have to worry about buying it, I guess. There's that. And hopefully you won't have too many characters where you're just going to out of the blue constantly have to build purple armors. And outside that, I don't know, just be careful. Just ask yourself, do I really need this extra CP or these extra stats? Because there's a lot of times you might not right away. Especially if you're only planning to use them as like a boosted character for the Lufenia or the challenge quest or something. So that's just how I would treat it. Is be frugal, be smart, and don't just spend them because you have some like on a character who doesn't really even have much gear on them anyway.
I have plenty of characters with purple armor without purple weapons. Don't do that. I have I don't know how many I had after GAU there, but I had about 900 armor tokens in my armor token inventory. But I had before Bahamut summon boards, I had 555 armor tokens in the armor token bank. In addition to that 900. And then how many 700 in for Bahamut, right? We have about access to 700. So if someone wants to do 900 plus 700 plus 550, that's how many I have. So I guess I have a lot more than I thought. I'm like, oh, I got down to like under 800. I'm like, oh no, I have under 800. And then I did the math. I had like 600 sitting in summon board. So I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. And then get 700 more. So I don't think, I'm not too worried about it, but I'm definitely not going to be purpling people's armor willy-nilly, especially if they don't have purple weapons. Now, if they have purple weapons, I'll probably purple their armor, but, like, I'm not going to just start throwing purple armor on CQ stuff. So 2,300, Valerius, thank you. That's about how many armor tokens I have. Necklord, what do you think?
See, I've got somewhat of a hot take here. I'm going to tell everyone, just don't worry about it at all, right? Because those rascals over in JP, they've whipped up the GL player base into a frenzy of panic. They're just going apeshit. They're just begging Square Enix, please give us more armor tokens, and they always capitulate to the masses. Square Enix, they do. So I think they're just going to give us more.
Yeah.
Because that's just we get all the QOLs early, we get exclusive QOLs that JP still don't have. Suckers.
Well, this is not the beta version of the game. So if you play beta, then yeah, you're always going to have to deal with the bugs and the capitulate. What's to capitulate mean? Yeah. So I think Necklord's got a good take. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Capitulate, I don't know what that means.
Capitulate.
I've never heard of that word before.
Give in to. It means.
Yeah.
Look at how Mino spelt it in chat.
No, but yeah, Mino did not spell it correctly in chat. That is not a word, I don't think. Or probably is, but it's some weird inappropriate anime reference. So, you probably don't have to worry. I mean, again, if you don't need them, like if you got a purple weapon, purple armor's fine. If you're trying to get somebody through without purpling, you don't have to just spend their armor willy-nilly. You probably want to be a little bit more careful on your Lufenia armor because that's a limited resource right now. So, and it's a limited resource, and quite frankly, a lot of the Lufenia armors are just garbage. So, unless you really need it for CP, you probably can skip out on quite a few of the Lufenia armors and be fine. And you do need Lufenia armors for the next tier of armor. So, be careful. And just a note, because a couple of us forgot about this. If you want to get Lufenia armor, you need to have purple armor. So you can't get the Lufenia armor unless you have the purple armor. So
yep,
that is important. Well, thank you. This has been episode 128 of the Crystal Chronicles, recorded on Thursday, November 19th, 2020.
Oh, Mark.
Oh, yes,
Are
sorry.
we going to make an announcement about next week?
Yes. So next week is Thanksgiving. We are taking next week off, so we will not be here Thursday night. I am going to release a video on YouTube. Hopefully, maybe not. But I have plans to release a video on YouTube, so hopefully I'll get to that. Have a great Thanksgiving. If you're here in the United States, that's a holiday we celebrate. If you're not, you can have a great Thanksgiving anyway. I encourage you, stay home, stay safe. Things are out of control right now. So that's not a political statement. That's just reality, especially here in the United States. Things are a mess right now all over our country, and COVID's spreading just really bad. So stay home, stay safe. I can tell you, as someone who has missed every major holiday for one reason or the other, you will survive, whether it was working, whether it was a family member in the hospital, whether I was sick. I had pneumonia one Thanksgiving. I've missed every holiday, and I've survived. Yep, it sucks, but you'll be okay. The best thing, for everybody is to realize we're still here. We're still together. We can eat turkey in February of next year. We can eat turkey whenever the hell you want. You can eat turkey at your house and Zoom with grandma and grandpa and make sure they don't get COVID and die, right? So there's a lot to do about. We may have a fun casual stream next week around Gladiolus. If not, I have a SYP for Gladiolus. You can check that out. That I've been the SYPs that I've been doing, I've been putting on podcast as well. So thank you. If you want to support us, tccpodcast.com for all of our links, Discord, Twitter, Facebook, etc. Most of our income comes through YouTube now, so like, share, sub on YouTube. Like, share, or follow, sub on Twitch. We do appreciate that. Twitch Prime subs we appreciate. Check out Arrow Laley on YouTube. Kreese does some streaming on Twitch. You can check him out. Necklord does great memes on Reddit. So go find his memes and upvote them. I don't care in terms of service crap. Any other way we can check you out, Necklord, or anything you want to talk about?
I also do the occasional Cyan run on YouTube. A few Lufenias under my belt so far. So
nice.
If you're interested in that.
And are you Necklord on YouTube as well?
Yeah, if you just search Necklord DFFOO, it should be the top search, hopefully, if I'm doing my search tags properly.
Let's see, Necklord DFFOO. Yeah, here we go. Apologize if we're gonna get. Necklord. I am now subscribed, and I apologize that I had not subscribed. Oh no,
That's very kind.
This is my TCC account, so I may be just subscribed on my other account. But if not, go check out Necklord, Neclord DFFOO on YouTube. Check out his runs. He does love the cyan, and had a pretty funny meme on Reddit. So that's in our Discord, but it's also on Reddit. Go check that out, and you'll enjoy that. All of the links to our good friends. We had Strafe here. We had Jin Lee here. Mentioned so many other folks throughout the stream. I have all their links in the details of the podcast and the details of the YouTube videos. And so just go support them. This is a great community. Everybody who creates content for this community is just good people. All of our friends. Been hitting up some new YouTubers, new streamers. Check them out. Give them some love. Just search Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omni on Twitch. Go find some people. There's a huge, if you're not English as your first language, there's a huge Portuguese community, a huge Italian community, a huge French-speaking community, tons and tons of non-English language GLDFO players that are streaming on Twitch. And so there's a lot of cool things on there. Shout out to Lani. Lani on Twitch. She is a newer not a newer streamer. She primarily does Pokemon streams, but she's taken up DFFOO, thinking about doing some beginner's guide to DFFOO from a beginner's perspective. So check her out on Twitch, Lani, and there's just a lot of other good people doing stuff too. So friends, have a wonderful holiday week. Stick around for the post show. We'll hang out a little bit more, but it's been a joy. Necklord, thank you. Arrow, Kreese, Mino's still playing the challenge quest. Thank you so much, everybody. Jin Lee, thank you. You beautiful bastard. And we'll see all of you. We'll see all of you in a couple weeks. And good luck on your Gladio polls. And we'll hope everybody poll. Should you pull on Gladio? Yeah, of course. Everything you got, pull on Gladio. He's meta. He solos everything from this time until forever. So pull on Gladio, and you heard it here. You can quote me on that. We'll talk to you later. Goodbye.